Right now, though, we're going to go ahead and hop right in. That is it for the news. So we're going to hop right into Seahawks at Rams. The Seahawks sit at 4-4. The Rams now 8-1 with that loss against the New Orleans Saints. This game kicks off at 1:25 p.m. LA time. This game is on CBS. Kind of interesting for an NFC versus NFC matchup, but we kind of seen that in the last few years, so shouldn't be too crazy of a surprise to most people. A pretty large area again, and this is the third week in a row that in Colorado Springs and Fountain, which is where I'm at, that the game will be televised. So I know that if the game's televised for me, there's a good chance that the game is televised for you. So make sure you guys check out the Rams Showcase Facebook page. If you guys want to check out the distribution map, see if it's in your county, because it breaks it up pretty nicely. And if you guys aren't being able to see this game, you'll see the Dolphins and Packers. Unless you got like Sunday ticket or anything, I know there's always people with those comments. So you can watch the game. All right, do it. Do the thing. Go watch the game. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo will be on the call. Right now, the Rams are favored by 10 points. That is where it opened. The over/under is at 50.5 for you bettors. And I'm gonna say over. Go over on this one. I think the over/under last week, I think at kickoff it was like 56.5, and I think if you went under on that one, you're bad at betting, and you should probably just rein it in. Now the weather for this game, it looks like it'll be about 75 at kickoff and about 65 at the game's end. And it doesn't look like we're getting any precipitation. 0% chance all day on Sunday in Los Angeles. A little bit of the matchup here. The Rams are 4-0 at home with those wins against the Cardinals, Vikings, Chargers, and Packers. And then the Seahawks are 3-2 on the road, so have a winning record on the road, which means they have a losing record at home, which is really interesting for the Seahawks. I'd have to look up when the last time that happened was. Let's take a look at the Seahawks offense versus the Rams defense. Total offense, the Seahawks are 26th in the league. Rams defense now 13th. That did drop. Of course, the Rams were 9th going into last week. Passing the football, 27th for the Seahawks offense, 14th for the Rams defense. That is also down. And running the football, the Seahawks are 3rd in the NFL, and the Rams defense is 13 against the run. Points scored, the Seahawks are putting up 23.5, and that ranks 17th, and the Rams are giving up 22.2. That ranks 10th, so still top 10 scoring defense for the Los Angeles Rams, despite giving up 45 points. The Rams offense versus the Seahawks defense. The Rams are 1st in offense now, which is totally cool to see. The Seahawks defense is 7th, so they still do have a strong defense. Passing the football, the Rams are 5th, and the Seahawks defense is 6th in the league, so a really strong matchup there. Running the football, this is where the Rams have a big edge. 1st still in the NFL running the football, and the Seahawks defense is 21st. Points scored, the Rams are putting up 33.2, down from 33.3 from a week ago, but that's now 7th in the NFL instead of 3rd, which is where that 33.3 was at going into last week. And the Seahawks defense giving up 19.5 points per game. That is tied for 5th in the NFL. Just some cool notes for you guys. With a win, the Rams would need just one more win to clinch the NFC West, as they would hold a 5-game division lead with 6 games remaining. So if the Rams do win this game, and the Rams do beat the Chiefs on Monday night, which will be a fun one to watch in Mexico, the Rams could clinch the division as early as Week 11. And I don't know exactly when the earliest division clinch in NFL history has been, but I don't know. This got to be close, right? It's got to be close. I mean, Week 11, that's amazing, especially in the 16-game format, which is what we're at right now. In order to win the division, the Rams would need to, or in order to lose the division, the Rams would need to lose 5 of their last 6, and the Seahawks would need to win out. So it's looking pretty strong. It's just a matter of timing now when the Rams will actually clinch the division. But being 8-1 at this point in the season, we're going into Week 10, and with the second-place team being 4-4, which is the Seahawks, the chances they're strong. All right, I don't want to say they're 100% because we've seen some pretty crazy things happen in the NFL, but I would say it's as close to 100% as you can get in Week 10. But I didn't write down the official numbers, but it is close to like 98%. Let's see here. At EA Madden NFL, for those of you that are on Twitter, this Twitter handle is giving away, I believe it's 3 or 4 tickets to this Rams and Seahawks game. So All you need to do is go to @MaddenNFL and retweet and post some kind of comment, and you're entered to win. So make sure you do it. I've done it on all 3 of my accounts just because I can, and if I happen to win, then we'll definitely be doing another contest here, and I'll be giving those away to somebody. Now let's see here, one more interesting note for you guys, or 2 more, I guess. Seahawks like the back shoulder fades, and this is something that I've kind of just noticed in watching some of their games, that they really like those, and I think that could be an issue for the Rams cornerbacks, Troy Hill and Marcus Peters, of course, being those starters. And then we do have Sam Shields that hopefully will be more healthy, less flu-y this week, and Nickel Roby-Coleman also a lot, but we need to watch out for that. That's definitely something we need to watch out for. This is something that's usually easier to see in a zone, but the Rams do like the man-to-man coverage. That's a Wade Phillips thing. And then Seahawks running back Chris Carson may not play in this game due to a hip injury that he sustained against the Los Angeles Chargers last week. He did have 116 yards rushing against the Rams in Week 5. Let's take a look at some keys to victory for the Rams. Establish the ground game. All right, so this is going to be a time of possession battle again. This is going to be another one of those where if you're holding on to the ball and your defense is off the field, that's a good thing, especially right now in the state of the Rams defense, which I really don't think is as bad as people think. The loss last week didn't necessarily crush my spirits like it did most fans. And I'm not saying that to take shots at anybody or anything like that, but I mean, this team is still 8-1. We lost at the New Orleans Saints, who haven't lost since Week 1, in a pretty tight game. We kind of let the first half get away from us, and then of course came back. But I think in this game, establishing that ground game early on, the Rams really weren't running the football a whole lot in this game, so in this last game. So I would like to see that kind of established. Win that time of possession battle, especially in the first half. On defense, get to Russell Wilson. This is something that the Rams have done pretty well. About a third of Russell Wilson's career sacks have been against the Rams. And when you think about that, that's actually kind of amazing that the Rams are able to do so well against Russell Wilson. I mean, he plays against so many different teams a year. What is it? 12 different teams a year, I believe, something like that, or 13, and something like that. I don't know why that's just escaping me right now, but plays against a decent amount of teams every year, all right? And then, you got the Niners and the Cardinals, obviously, and the Rams are just able to get to Russell Wilson. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's able to work. And I think that in this game in particular, getting to Russell Wilson, not letting him extend those plays, because that's where Russell Wilson hurts you. He doesn't hurt you on the initial play design. He hurts you when the play breaks down. His wide receivers, come back to him or make a move, and they're open, and he is still wiggling around back there and can get the ball out of his hands. For the Seahawks, keys to victory: establish the pass game and back up the Rams linebackers. So in order to run the football, you're going to need to get our linebackers kind of backed up a little bit. And establishing the pass game against this secondary will be an important part for the Seahawks. And then on the defense, kind of similar thing, get to Jared Goff. If the Seahawks are able to get to Jared Goff and really rattle him, what we've seen is this Rams offense, as talented as it is, as explosive as it is, it's very timing based. And when teams are able to get pressure on Jared Goff or kind of throw him off his rhythm, that's where we run into offensive problems. But we have, of course, only had 2 games scoring under 30 points this year, which is really good. Some matchups to keep an eye on. So both of the right guards on the depth chart for the Seahawks, DJ Fluker and Jordan Simmons, are questionable in this game. That could be a pretty heavy matchup for Aaron Donald, and that's usually where he's lined up, is over the right guard. I think that this could be a game where we look at Aaron Donald and we're like, man, this kid's a freak. It was unfortunate last week. Drew Brees was able to elude Aaron Donald. I'm not sure if anybody's been able to do that as consistently as Brees has been able to do in that last game, at least. Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett going deep against Marcus Peters and Troy Hill. This is definitely a concern. And, something that I was seeing in last week's game for the Seahawks against the Chargers was that they were going deep on first down. So you can't even necessarily put out your run stuffers on first down because they could just go deep on you. So it's gonna be a matchup problem for the Rams as far as personnel goes. because the Seahawks do like to do that. And then I want to see Okoronkwo and Fowler against the Seahawks left tackle Dwayne Brown and right tackle Jermaine Ifedi. And if the Rams can find that edge rush that has kind of been an issue all year, then I think that this game could be drastically changed, and the rest of the year could be drastically changed if the Rams are able to generate a very strong edge rush, and especially with that defensive line. When you have Michael Brockers, Aaron Donald, and Ndamukong Suh in the middle, if we can get an edge rush, I mean, that's almost lights out right there. I mean, what quarterback is going to want to play against that? Let me see, the history. I went a little light on the history this week because I do the history every single week, and over the course of doing this, and you guys listen to me pretty regularly, I do have a lot of you guys that were here in week 5, so I'm not going to go too intense on the history. Seattle does lead the all-time series 23-18, so 5 more victories for the Seahawks over the Rams than we have on them. The most recent game, obviously week 5, is a 31-33 victory at the Seahawks. So the Rams were able to pull off the 2-point win. If you guys remember this game, it was actually really exciting. The Rams did the QB sneak with Goff to close it out to end the game, which was really awesome. Total points scored in this matchup, the Seahawks have put up 885 and the Rams have put up 826, so pretty close, but I'm not sure that the Rams are going to outscore the Seahawks by, 59 points? I'm not sure that that's going to happen in this game, so it's going to take us a little bit of time. But the Rams have won 5 of the last 7, so there's definitely the shift that's happening. The Seahawks obviously kind of owned this division for quite some time, but that's definitely shifting towards the Rams. Especially, I think the main shift was last year, that 42-7 victory at Seattle. That was more. It wasn't like they're giving up the division, it was that the Rams took it, and now it's ours, and we just have to keep on proving it. That's something it will never end. You got to keep on proving that you own that division, and so that's something the Rams are going to try to do this week. 3 guys from each team to keep an eye on. For the Rams, we have Jared Goff, had a strong game in New Orleans, despite the loss, had 339 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. That 1 interception, that was a tough one. It was just a great play by Anzalone. He made the cut and he was going one way, and then once the ball was thrown, once he saw Goff, I almost said Bradford, once he saw Goff in that motion, was able to turn around and get his hands on the ball. So really just a great play by Anzalone, not a bad pass by Jared Goff. Brandon Cooks. Cooks really seemed that he had something to prove last week in New Orleans, and that is awesome. But what I want to see is a backup performance to that at home against a team that he used to not play for. I want to see Brandon Cooks just absolutely light it up and be all over the place and have that fire that he played with against the Saints in a game that's not against the Saints. That's what I'm looking for this week. So for Brandon Cooks to continue that success. And I also have Dante Fowler. The Rams made the trade, obviously, and Fowler played over 60% of the snaps against the Saints. I said that he wouldn't play over 70%, and kind of nailed it because obviously he didn't, but over 60%, that's a lot of snaps, but was not able to get a sack. Did have that tackle for a loss. That was his lone tackle of the day. On the Seahawks side, Russell Wilson, obviously, if Drew Brees was able to pick up first downs with his legs, the Rams need to do a better job of containing that pocket and getting to the quarterback. Of course, no sacks last week. So against Russell Wilson, you absolutely have to get him to the ground. You have to rattle him. You have to make him uncomfortable. And you have to not let him get out of the pocket. And, a spot that the Rams have kind of, in recent weeks, kind of been giving up to quarterbacks is right up the middle. That edge comes around and there's wide open spot up the middle. So I'd like to see that shifted as well. And then Frank Clark. The Rams have had a difficult time against really strong pass rushers, even with Andrew Whitworth and Roger Saffold, these really strong players on the offensive line. Frank Clark is absolutely one of the best pass rushers in the league right now, if you're asking me. He's a very talented guy, and he's quietly just doing an awesome job, seems like every single week, but no one's really talking about him, at least nothing that I'm seeing is people talking about him. I'm sure there's Seahawks fans going nuts about this kid. And then Doug Baldwin. Baldwin can take the top off of the defense at just about any time, and he tends to do so after the Seahawks kind of try to run the ball a few times. They go on some short passes, and then out of nowhere, when you least expect it, deep ball to Doug Baldwin. So that's what I'm kind of keeping an eye on this week. And Doug Baldwin, he and Russell Wilson together, they just seem to get it. And they seem to, when the play is broken down, you have to keep an eye on Baldwin. You can't just keep your eye on Russell Wilson, see where he's going. You have to stick to your wide receiver. And that's one thing, that's a big part of beating the Seahawks, is after the play's broken down or over, you stick with your receiver. You let those defensive linemen and linebackers get after the quarterback, and in the secondary, you have to stay with your guy. So that is going to do it for the Rams and Seahawks preview. On the other side, hey guys, thanks for checking out the YouTube video. I have one hint for you guys on this week's trivia question. I don't know what card I'm giving away yet, but my one hint is it's going to have to do with the Rams and Seahawks matchup history. So make sure you guys have a solid understanding of the history of these two teams playing against each other. Make sure you guys follow the Rams Showcase on all of the social media. That's at RamsShowcase on Instagram and Twitter, facebook.com/RamsShowcase. You can also add me at SheriffJoeBags on Instagram and Twitter, facebook.com/SheriffJoeBags. And my personal Facebook is facebook.com/RamsJoeb. So make sure you guys add me as a friend there. Thanks for watching, guys. Rams linebacker Micah Kiser is a known run stuffer and has been since his days in college. The Rams are kind of known for having undersized linebackers right now. So what's going on in my mind this week is, why isn't Micah Kiser playing on known run situations and having Mark Barron play in known passing situations? It just seems to make more sense. I don't think a team like the Seahawks is a good team to pull this kind of stuff out. But I think ultimately over the course of the season, this could be something that the Rams could utilize and find a way to just match up better on specific plays.